Good morning, everyone. Sunday morning download on the day off, and I'm in literally, if you hear some creaking or some shifting around, I am literally sitting in bed and I'm enjoying it. You know, sometimes you got to do that on your day off when you don't have anything scheduled to do and you kind of just chilling. Now, don't get me wrong, I am doing some work per se, some personal stuff. It's just that I'm laying in bed doing it. And I know some of us have the little rat race thing going on, but sometimes you just got to sit down somewhere and collect yourself. And that's exactly what I'm doing today. I had some things that I needed to plan and organize, and this is just that time. It's a little chill going on in the air today, and I really don't have anything on my agenda that I'm pressed to do. So I'm going to take my time and I'm just going to organize some things so I can get some stuff done in the future. And this came to me as a download based on a post I saw on my feed today. Now, some of you who are online might have heard of this comedian by the name of Shuler King. And for those of you who don't know him, if you go to my playlist, you'll see his channel on my playlist. He's actually a mortician out of South Carolina, but he is a stand-up comedian as well. And does clean comedy, but he's very funny. And what he has is a YouTube channel where people will send him different clips and different articles and things, and he comments on them, you know, with a comedic spin. Now, this one more so is common sense, but of course he throws his 2 cents in, and I wholeheartedly agree. Very recently, and by the time this post, of course, this video would have been out for a while, but at the time of this recording, which was fall of 2023, this young lady just had the nerve to get upset because this gentleman took her to the Cheesecake Factory and she felt it was beneath her station, whatever the hell her station was, which I don't think was much. Now, my mother told me when I was little, you can tell when somebody ain't had nothing. Because the minute that they got something, they are just extra. They just go above and beyond. You know, they start speaking words they don't know the meaning to, let alone spell. They start overspending, overextending. They start running in circles they don't know anything about. They just make total fools out of themselves because they never had anything. You know, socioeconomic status requires research. It does. And I don't care if any of you go in the comments and want to say that I'm being stuck up. Listen to this whole audio before you make any comments. I strongly suggest you do that. You know, every economic status requires some research, whether you consider yourself poor, whether you consider yourself middle class or rich. Every economic status has a certain amount of research that's required if you want to be a part of it. And this particular person is either spoiled to the extreme and sheltered and never had been exposed to anything else to the point where she just didn't have any people skills, or never had anything and finally had a taste of something and just wanted to be bitching. One of the two. My impression is the latter, because looking at the way she was dressed and the way she conducted herself, now, the average person would have said that she was a hottie. Me personally, she's just run of the mill to me. I didn't see anything that really stood out as far as her beauty. I mean, if she was in a crowd of people, she would have just been an ordinary beauty to me. I didn't see anything that was extreme about her as far as her beauty was concerned. You know, she was pretty, but she wasn't extremely pretty. I mean, if she was in a group of 1 million people, I couldn't see myself, you know, drawn to her. I couldn't see myself doing a double take if I was a guy, me personally. I couldn't. I could see myself choosing somebody else. I just couldn't, you know. And it was evident that what she had, she wasn't born with. It was evident that what she had came out of a drugstore or a beauty supply store or both. It was evident. And I'm not saying this to be hateful. I'm saying this from experience myself from going to beauty supply stores and drug stores because I know what's in there. And I could tell by looking at her that she wasn't born with what she had in the picture. She wasn't born with it. She bought it out to be because I go to those places and that's what I use to put on when I go out, you know. And to turn around and have an attitude. And there's a whole backstory behind it. If you find out the reason why this fella took her to the Cheesecake Factory, it was partially her fault. As to why they had to resort to going to the Cheesecake Factory. And my thing is this: Cheesecake Factory ain't cheap no way. You know, you can't take Happy Meal money to the Cheesecake Factory no way. So turn around and stick your nose up at the situation. But what I've noticed about these situations with these people is they turn around and complain about it. But at the end of the day, they couldn't afford to take themselves there. And these are also the same people that will turn around and will demand that somebody do something for them they can't do for themselves. And see, that's the point of this audio. You are probably dealing with somebody right now that have somebody in your life that is asking you to do a lot of things that they are not capable of doing by themselves. Yeah. That's the point of this audio. You probably have someone in your life. Men, you'll probably have a woman in your life right now that you are doing a lot of stuff for that they have never done for themselves and not capable of doing for themselves. Let me say that again. Men, and I'm saying this to men because it's in relation to the post. Now, women, you could probably have a man that's doing this right now because I know we live in a modern society where a lot of women are making more money than men and they're the breadwinners. So I'm flipping the roles too, whatever fits. But in this particular case, this lady wanted this man to take her somewhere, and because of her doing, they couldn't go, so they had to resort to going somewhere else, and she got an attitude about it. Bottom line is, either one of those places, I'm thinking she probably couldn't take herself on a date. And it's funny because I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night, but we were talking about somebody who was placing all these demands on her mate, and her mate walked out on her because the mate couldn't take any pressure anymore. And the friend asked her, well, why don't you do these things for yourself? And the person had nothing to say. The person was all hyper-focused on getting this mate back. Well, the reason why this person is all hyper-focused on getting the mate back is because they want the mate back to give them all the stuff to do that they want them to do because they can't do it for themselves. See, this is the thing. And I mentioned this before in previous audios, people. You got people that are coming in your life and they're placing all these strongholds and lockdowns and restrictions on you and don't want you to go nowhere because they want you to do all this stuff on them. They want you to give them all this stuff in their life that they were unable or incapable or too lazy to get for themselves. It had nothing to do with love. They may have some strong feelings for you. Okay, granted. They may. But the thing is that at the end of the day, if you were not in the picture, they would not have been able to get it for themselves, and they're looking for somebody to do it. So if you weren't around, eventually they would have got somebody else to do it or tried to get somebody else to do it. And the only reason why they AKA love you is because you have the heart to try to do it for them. And they know if they put themselves back out there and tried to pull that shit on somebody else, they would have turned around and they would have dumped them or ghosted them or even in the worst case scenario, abused them. And I mentioned that to my friend when we talked about this in conversation. I said, that's why she's gunning so hard to try to get this person back, because she knows if she tried that shit on somebody else, they probably would have tried to beat the hell out of her because if she tried to come to them with that. And I hate to say this, but I mean, we live in a day now where people have no problem putting their hands on somebody. I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying that's the type of life that we're living in right now. There are people that have no problem putting their hands on anybody. They have no problem with verbally abusing anybody, and they have no problem with taking a life. That's the type of life. And then we have people that have no problem that hurting anybody. They have no problem with it, because those are the type of spirits and demons that they're dealing with right now. But then on the flip side of it, we've got people out here that are taking that chance by bringing that type of behavior into a relationship and risking that type of reaction. You can't do that, people. Now, I don't know how long this lady knew this gentleman as far as the date is concerned, because, I mean, he took it like a champ. Shuler King said he would have kicked her out the car, and he wouldn't even gave her an alternate date. With her being late and and like I said, there was a whole story behind that. But I mean, I've heard stories where she would have got even worse treatment than that. The police would have got involved. I've heard some extreme stories. So I say this to say this. God forbid if you're one of these people even listening to this, because if you're subscribed to my channel and you listen to my videos, you're probably not one of these people, because you wouldn't even be comprehending what I'm saying in any of my videos, because you wouldn't have that mindset. But God forbid, if you are one of these people who have a habit of trying to get other people to give you stuff that you're not capable of getting yourself, go get some help from somewhere. Because you're taking a huge risk by going out into the world demanding stuff from people that you hardly know, that you can't get from yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something. They are not going to take it very well. You don't know where these people came from. You don't know where their reaction is going to be, especially if you come at them with that type of attitude. You don't know what you're going to get once they get angry about that. Try to do it for yourself. It is nobody's responsibility to take care of you. Don't ask anybody to give you something that you have not tried to get for yourself. Don't ask for anything from anybody that you have not gotten for yourself or tried to get for yourself. Don't ever do that, because it's a joke. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Happy Sunday to you, and thank you for your support.